Hey, what's going on, guys? I am here with Jones in his beautiful and really freaking massive Gladiator, and we are going to be talking about this behemoth of a trailer that he has pulling behind it. We call it Shanty Shack. That name sort of grew as the trailer was created, following the creation of Shanty Town, and we've done some stuff to it this weekend to only improve its capabilities and its functionality when we're out on the trail. It's been on a few trips with us so far, and it started out as just throwing a tent on top of a trailer and having a couple of storage solutions, and it's turned into a very large asset for Shantytown and for the trips that we take, so that we, as individuals, do not have to bring as much gear with us on these trips. Let's see what Jones has to say about that.
Hey, I'm Jones, and this is Shanty Shack. And Shanty Shack is slowly becoming a little bit more than a camper. So I built this with the intention of having something that could go behind my rig through the trails. It started out as a construction radar trailer. Everybody's seen them on the side of the highway. They pop up, they got a solar panel. They say, this is the speed you're going, and this is what you should be, and there's a fine. We essentially cut the top of that off, and we're left with sort of the cage, if you will, in this box. The forward look of what Shanty Shack was going to be was obviously a rooftop tent on top. All of her legs, she's got 4 legs, they were in the box, and that was kind of it. It carries a spare because she's on big tires that are the same size as what's on the Gladiator. Added a propane tank for cooking. There's some lights under here for nighttime. And then we realized down here in the Carolinas, it gets hot, and all the boys will tell you, I'm kind of a queen when it comes to being comfortable. So I decided we need more power. So how much power? Inside of here, we have 2 300 amp hour Renogy batteries. They go to a MPPT charger. That charger allows me 2 things to charge input. One is solar, and the other one is using the Charger One by Blue Eddy that's in the truck. So I've essentially got a couple of ways to charge and a couple of ways essentially to get power. So when you're looking to get out on the trail and you're talking about bringing the family, bringing your pups, a large part of what Shanty Shack started out as versus what has become started out sort of a joke about being comfortable. I had a little Blue Eddy that was running a heated blanket in the winter, but a Blue Eddy is not going to maintain an air conditioner for very long. So when Shanty Shack sort of become a theory of let's put batteries in her, and we put 600 amp hours or 2 300 amp hour Renegys in there. There's an MPPT charger, and I have multiple ways to charge those batteries. We installed 2 outdoor outlets up here on the top, and those provide 30 amp of power. We've ran an angle grinder off of it. We've had a fan. We've charged Birdie's batteries. We ran a shop vac.
Light bulbs.
And the light bulbs. Yes. 4 fluorescent light bulbs in his garage. And when we did the magical science of battery voltage testing, that's above my pay grade, the man behind the camera said, we haven't made a dent. So I am going to take this home, Shanty Shack, and all of her greatness. I'm going to put my air conditioner to her, and based on our overlanding math, I should get around 20 hours before these girls go dead. And then we'll hopefully charge her back up and get on the trail soon.
So you mentioned that this is an old radar trailer.
Yeah.
Why did you choose that as your platform for Shanty Shack?
So I know people have built overlanding trailers from like the Harbor Freight guys. I know that there are plenty of high dollar rigs out there. And I'm not necessarily a budget person. I'm more of a, is it effective? Is it efficient? So, these radar trailers are designed, they're almost impenetrable. It is box tubing. Everything is gusseted. So starting out of the platform is great. The negatives, right? If you look at what happened to us on the Georgia Traverse, I launched a spring out of one of the keepers, right? So it's a problem. And just like in your rig, whenever you've got an issue of something that either breaks or fails, you either upgrade it or you go back to stock and you just wait for it to fail again. So she's probably going to get on Timbrins, the axle-less suspension, even though she got great ground clearance on the big tires. This thing has just been great. I found it for $500. I was able to get a welder to do some cutting. It had the box already installed. We installed this grate here behind me that holds my water cans. One of the cool things about this particular build is we installed a lock and roll hitch. It's quiet. It allows in the event of an issue, we never want to have those, but things do happen. If Shanty Shack rolls, it won't take my truck with it. So that's a really neat safety feature in itself. And it's got multiple pins that lock it in place. Another reason why I essentially picked something of this size, it's lightweight. It also carries my spare. I got 38s on the truck. It doesn't fit underneath. So this little guy is carrying a spare, is carrying a camp table. It's got a small solar panel that powers the lights. It's really sort of an all-inclusive little package that on the trail, it just keeps up. I mean, we've had it on, multiple events now. And every single time I go home and I kind of smile, a little Radar construction trailer is doing pretty good. Inside the box, we have two Renogy 300 amp hour batteries. There's also an MPPT charger. We've talked about that. But how did we get to that point? So this trailer, there was 6 batteries in here when I first got her. We took all those out, and there's a big empty box. In that box, you'll see it. It's pretty self-explanatory. Those batteries need to sit on something stable, so we installed a sheet of wood across the bottom. We secured that through the metal bottom of the box, so that is in place. We then basically built a cage around the bases of those batteries so that they're not shuffling and moving when we are off-road. To the left of those batteries, there is a 3,000 watt Renogy inverter. And that little guy, we've used the outlet side to come into the 110s to provide power to the exterior. Above the 3,000 watt inverter we built a small shelf using 2x4s, and we mounted two 60 amp fuses, and we mounted the Renogy MPPT waterproof charger. That charger is sort of unique. It allows me to charge from multiple sources. One of those is solar. One of those is a DC to DC. So I'm coming off the truck as a DC, and I have plugs here that will eventually get work where they need to. This is a building process, as everything is, and that will allow me to do charging with solar. The goal is to, when we go camping, we're charging on the go with the truck. When we stop, I throw a panel out and we try to receive as much sunlight as we can before sundown, and we start the Shanty Chef Challenge or whatever it is maybe we get into.
How much effort did it take to install those waterproof plugs on the top of the box?
So everything that went inside the box, outside of just sort of manhandling a sheet of wood and the batteries, which I'm not going to do. I'm old and I got a crappy back, and I'm the man you draw in Hangman. These on top, although they look fairly simple, right? You don't see the energy and the effort that went into those. There was a measurement. There was then a cutting, a lot of sparks, a lot of metal, a lot of dust. Once the cutting and the noise subsided, we were left with sort of a raw edge. One of the trickiest things to do on this little trailer during this build was just installing some batteries, which it's easy enough to have Harrison throw some batteries in there. It's easy enough to cut up some wood and make the foundation and everything with the charger. What's not easy is installing these two little boxes. They're essentially designed for your home. They're waterproof boxes with two small 110 outlets in it that provide 30 amps of outgoing power. In order to put those in there, I'm not going to call it a nightmare. It just wasn't easy. There was an angle grinder involved. There was a jigsaw with metal blades involved. There was smoke. There were sparks. There was some interesting aromas as old paint burnt off. And then new paint going on. That didn't help. We fumigated ourselves in the garage. It clamshells together, as you could imagine, with screws in each corner. The problem was it was developed to have a gasket to seal the two together, because again, it's designed to be on the exterior of your home and just sort of mount to a thing. Well, we don't have that. We have a metal lid that we could not remove because I didn't build this high enough to remove it. We couldn't sandwich a rubber seal, so we had to sandwich the metal, and that was super tricky because we weren't sure which way the screws went. The instructions were absolutely rubbish. We had to get it together. He got his tongue out. I got my head just right to get the screws in. It was nearly a miracle. to do this one, and we had another one to go. It was exceptionally difficult to mount them. That being said, they work great, and so far, it's ran every single thing we could plug into it. So Shanty Shack is doing her job building this. We knew we got to get it right, and it's going to require some welding. So cutting off the top. We had to order these fenders. We had to build the inner fender liners with a HPDFVGY plastic. I don't know. It's some syllables. The mounts that are on the back side of those inner fenders are actually the remainders of the legs. Remember, she was a construction trailer. These legs were like 5 feet long. They go way out here. We ended up cutting those off and using them to support the fenders right there in the middle. And when that wasn't enough, the guy that helped build this thing, he took one of the legs, ripped it down the middle, and he used those as the mounts for the roto packs in the rear, which is unbelievable. This hook right here in the front, this is actually a Rubicon hook. Like, that's the bit that bolted to the front of the Jeep. In the rear, there's also 2 hooks. Those are also hooks from a Rubicon Jeep. He cut the mounts off. He welded them. In the event that I've ever got to get pulled backwards, they're there. It is a lot more than old radar construction trailer that's about 10 years old. Between the hitch, all the way back to where it carries the spare tire, to its license plate. She's not lost. She's not a construction trailer anymore. It's Shanty Shack. And it does carry a rooftop tent. And it does have really cool things like a little solar panel in the back that keeps a smaller battery in here charged that runs a couple little 15-watt bulbs when you're cooking. It is a lot more than that. And it's really replaced my original camper, base camp. I'm not sure how big 600 amp hours is. I've been told it's a lot, but we're going to find out. See you on the trails.